Okay, so Lami Eshu, who's the one of the founders of the FPMT, and I'm looking in this direction because on my screen Lucy's over here. Right, so I look straight ahead. And so I read this out a couple of times for people because I realized if you're not part of the FPMT or you don't know Lamieshi or you see all these Tibetans doing prostrations up mountains and in the snow and everything, it does look a bit strange. So Lamieshi says it's making space for wisdom in the mind. So how he says it is, why do we make prostrations at the beginning of teaching and meditation sessions? It's to beat our ego down a bit. Egocentric pride looks at everything superficially and never sees the nature of reality. When we prostrate, we're not prostrating to the material objects on the altar, but paying homage to true understanding wisdom. Lamia shared a very interesting way of using the English language, so it does sound a bit, sometimes it sounds a bit odd. People who have taken Dharma teachings before know well, and I mention it mainly for new students, prostration isn't just a Buddhist custom. To make sure that giving teachings does not become an ego trip, even the great teachers like His Holiness the Dalai Lama will prostrate before they get up on the throne. So I prostrated before I got up on the couch here this morning. And in fact, to diminish pride and become more grounded in reality, both teacher and student should prostrate before a teaching. Otherwise, there's no space for understanding wisdom. The proud mind is like a desert. Nothing can grow in a mind full of pride. That's why we prostrate toward the altar prior to giving and taking teachings. In our everyday lives, we prostrate to things that are not worthwhile. Of course, we don't say that we're prostrating, but in fact, we constantly pay homage to our pride and ego. Instead of prostrating to pride and ego, we should prostrate to understanding wisdom. The Tibetan term for prostration is chag sal. In Sanskrit, chag is mudra. The interpretive meaning of mudra is wisdom. Understanding knowledge wisdom is the actual mudra. Sal means to bow down before or pay homage to obeisance or obeisance to something. Therefore, chag sal means to bow down to wisdom. And when we prostrate, our mental attitude should be one that recognizes the harmful nature of egocentric pride and understands that knowledge wisdom is the only worthwhile guide. If you don't have this respectful attitude, you might as well not bow down. If you're not prostrating with your mind, there's no need to prostrate physically simply for the sake of show or custom. Tradition is not that important, but if you recognize how your pride functions and prostrate to wisdom instead, that is very effective, and doing so makes prostrating a means of training your mind. So when I'm leading the courses at Kopan, or if I'm leading anything live, we'll all do prostrations together towards the altar. I don't feel comfortable with people prostrating towards myself, but in this case, excuse me, I'm stuck in this kind of self-made studio. So once I've done my prostrations and sat down, I can't sort of escape. So that's why I'm usually sitting here, but it does feel a wee bit uncomfortable for me. But when you're prostrating, just imagine you're prostrating towards your own personal teacher or His Holiness the Dalai Lama, or if you have any holy objects in the room, you can just prostrate towards them before you actually sit down yourself. So there's actually no need to prostrate towards the teacher. But unless it's someone like, anyway, yeah, anyway, so that's what it does seem that Lamia she's saying. And if there's nothing in your mind, if the only reason you're doing it is because everybody else is doing it, there's no point to do it. Because as Lamia she said, it has to be, you have to have that mental attitude, and it has to be for developing, beating down your own ego, so you can actually have space in your mind to listen to the teachings. So does that make sense? Yes?
Yes, thank you.
Bet. Okay.
And, and Venerable Katie, there
Very
was also a question if one has, physical limitations or restraints, maybe there's not space to do even a normal prostration, much less full body prostrations, or what other options or what's can one do?
a friend of mine who's a Gyuto monk, and they're the high tantric monks that do all the sand mandalas and Buddha sculptures and things. he said he got very, very sick. He got typhoid. He was traveling around India and ate an ice cream. And he was very, very sick for a long time. And he likes to do prostrations in the morning. And he said that what he did was he just either held his hands at like this, and he would recite the 35 Buddhas with his hands in the mudra of prostration. So there's that option. But if your disability is such that you can't do that, you can always just, again, develop that attitude of that Lama Yeshe was just talking about in this little chapter, of kind of this idea of subduing your mind, clearing space in your mind for wisdom and sort of a sense of respect for yourself and for the teachings that you're about to receive. I mean, I think it's almost like just developing an attitude of settling the mind and opening the mind up to listen to what somebody has to say. It's just respectful. But I think like Lama Yeshe was saying, you don't necessarily need to practice. And as he was saying, if you don't have that attitude in your mind, you may as well not do it. So that indicates to me that there are other ways to. It's more of a mental attitude than a physical show. But Lamsa Rinpoche, of course, says, you get great merit from doing those prostrations. And, he had this stroke in 2011 and he struggles to prostrate. I mean, it takes him about a minute or 2, 3 to do just one prostration. He has hardly any movement on his right side. But with the help of his attendants, he just is so determined. He gets down, he does a full prostration, he almost crawls back up again. And when I see that, I'm like, oh, I feel so lazy. But anyway, I've hurt my wrist, and they've told me I can't put any weight on it right now. So anyway, let's get going. We're 8 minutes.
Thank you, Venerable Katy.
No worries. And I hope that all made sense. It's sort of 6 o'clock in the morning here, so I could be just blabbering away senselessly. Okay, so we are going to do less. Matt. Okay, hang on one sec. Sorry. He pinned me, and then all I see is my own face, which I find a bit disconcerting. So what we're going to do this morning, we'll just do one round of the 9-round breathing. And I just wanted to check with James. Did you do 9-round breathing with them? No. James, have you done any 9-round breathing before? Do you know what I'm talking about? Yes?
No.
No. Okay. Well, just follow along as best you can. And then
No problem at all.
Sorry?
No problem at all.
No problem. Okay, thank you. All right. So if you could just pop yourself on mute again there. Thank you. Rightio. All right. So let's just settle in. And Gary, would you? Oh, there you're on mute already. All right. Thank you. All right, everybody. So just settle yourself into your meditation posture. So if you are sitting on a chair, remember and your feet are down on the ground, make sure you have a little cushion underneath them and in a parallel position. Other than that, if they're crossed, if your legs are crossed, it's really good to raise your sit bones a little bit. This really does help the alignment of the spine. It's also much more comfortable for the upper back. And you want your pelvis to be upright. So if you had it filled with water, it wouldn't spill. Hands in the meditation mudra, so the right hand nestled in the left with the thumbs touching. And if that's not comfortable for you for some reason, if you've done meditation in a different tradition or yoga, I mean, you can just place your hands wherever you wish. And imagine your spine is a string of pearls of light, and it stretches from the base of the spine all the way up through the crown of the head. And really imagine you have this light inside you. You can imagine someone's above you, very gently lengthening your spine. Shoulders are aligned with the hips. Head is slightly tipped forward, tip of the tongue on the roof of the mouth. Just draw our attention to the crown of the head and relax the scalp, the forehead, the eyes, the nose, the mouth. Then bring your attention to the back of the head, the crown, the back of the crown. Sorry, back of the head, the scalp there. Just relax that area. Relax your ears, inner ear, your temples, and the jaw again. Your neck, shoulders, upper thoracic. If you are sitting on a couch or a chair, make sure you're not leaning back onto that surface. I mean, of course, if you're sick, that's fine. But try and hold yourself up if you're feeling well enough. Relax. Excuse me, the throat, the shoulders again, and the belly and your limbs, and just check you're not holding tension in your hands and feet. And bring your mind to the breath. Just noticing the sensation of the cool air as you're breathing in, and slightly warmer air as you're breathing out. I just think we're going to do this meditation this morning for all the people of our life, the ones we love, the ones we don't love so much. Perhaps we label them as our enemy, and all our strangers, people we don't know very well or at all. I'm just reminding ourselves that they're all the same in their wish to be happy, their wish to avoid suffering, and this incredible potential that we all have within us. So just settle into the breath, noticing the air as it's coming in. It's cool. The air as it's flowing out is slightly warmer. If you have any distractions in your environment, just by sound, just allow those sounds to be there. Try not to run off and investigate. And then notice the mind. Just allow the thoughts to arise, to abide, and to fall. And try not to engage with your thoughts or judge them. And this 9-round breathing we're going to do, and I'm rushing a bit because of time, is a technique that's used. The Tibetan yogis have used it for years. The Indian yogis have used it for years. It's called clearing the airs, or clearing the channels. So it's a preparatory exercise for doing the more advanced practices in Tibetan Buddhism. And they have different ways of doing this in the yogi tradition, in the Hindu yogi tradition. So we just start by imagining you're breathing in through your right nostril, blissful, radiant, white light. And you can hold closed, if you like, your left nostril as you're breathing in. And you can pause at the top of the breath, then move the finger over, and then breathe out through the left nostril. All your unhealthy desire energy, attachment and grasping and neediness, insecurity, not feeling enough. You breathe all of this energy out as thick black yucky smoke. And do that 3 times. And then you breathe in through the left nostril. You can close the right nostril if you wish. Pause at the top of the breath. And then you breathe out through the right, all your anger energy. And this is it's quite heavy, wishing to harm, jealousy, depression, and bitterness and grudges, this kind of thing. And you just breathe it out as thick, again, this kind of thick black yucky smoke, and it disappears into space. So you don't breathe it back in. You do that 3 times, and then you breathe in through both nostrils. Imagine you're breathing in blissful, radiant white light, fills the whole body. And you pause at the top of the breath and then breathe out all your ignorance, which is not knowing the way things truly exist. In this tradition, it's about emptiness or not understanding emptiness. And all of this disappears into space as thick black yucky smoke. So let's just do 1 round of this on our own. So 3, 3 and 3, and then we'll start the meditation. So just bring your mind back to the breath and just feel, and you notice a difference in your focus and concentration since the beginning of the session. So just check again on our motivation. Just make a determination to use this time to increase our understanding and insight, taking the next step on our spiritual journey for our own sake and for all the people of our life and all sentient beings. So let's just generate an image of spacious clarity. So imagine you're lying on top of a hill. I'm not sure if there's hills in Trinidad. Maybe there are. Or perhaps you're on top of a building in New York. Regardless, the sky that you're looking at is empty, pure, clear, and vast. And maybe all you see is snowscape. Again, it's a whiteout. And there are no clouds or any pollution. There's no trees or birds or buildings or objects. Just a clear blue sky, vast. So for a moment, just focus your awareness on this luminous spaciousness and allow yourself to merge with this clear, luminous space. Imagine your body, as well as the surrounding environment, becoming one with this pure empty space, becoming empty and luminous and clear, without any sense of separation. And hold your awareness in this experience of this empty luminosity. Without thinking this or that, without judgments or discrimination. This is the pure, clear nature of your mind. So just rest in this space, focused but relaxed. So you may have thoughts or emotions or feelings arising. So just don't engage with them. Try not to gravitate towards them with attraction or push them away, trying to get rid of them. Just simply watch them arise, abide, and dissolve back into emptiness. As if you don't do anything with the thoughts, that's what will happen. And try not to analyze the thoughts and emotions that arise in the mind or your experience right now. So just observe what's arising with this neutrality. It could be like you're watching a movie, but you're not engaging. And as the thoughts pass, bring your awareness back to the clarity of your own mind. So everything that's arising, the thoughts, the emotions, the feelings, sensations, experience of sound, anything you can smell, you just imagine it has the nature of spacious, luminous clarity. It's formless, space-like and clear. And this is the pure nature of your consciousness. So for the next couple of minutes, stay relaxed, focused, and expand your mind. Let's just bring to mind the motivation we established at the beginning of the meditation and dedicate any understanding, any spiritual energy and creative potential that you've generated during this meditation to the realization of your goals, taking the next step on your spiritual journey. And we can also think right now of Risham's grandma who passed away. Dedicate for her to have a precious human rebirth. Okay, everyone. Thank you so very much. Thank you, Matt,